Okay, I'm going to be talking about the family in 2100. So we should first start off by defining what a family is. So a family is a group consisting of parents and children living together in a household. So before I talk about the future of the family, let's look at the history of families. So the first form of a family were the hunter-gatherer families, which were in 10,000 BCE. So there was gathering of plants and animal hunting for food, and the men were the hunters and the tool makers, and they moved from place to place to search for food, and the women collected nuts and fruits. So agricultural families, 1000 BCE, so women's economic activity changed, and the agricultural families would grow food and livestock to feed their families. Monogamy was more common, and so were arranged marriages. So pre-industrial families, 1600s. So marriage was an economic necessity and was not based on romance, and children were also an economic necessity because they were able to work, so their family wanted the children to work so they would get more income. So the father was the head of the household, and the wife and the children were in the background. So urban industrial families, early 1800s. So during this time there were many technological advances, and children weren't allowed to work anymore. So there was an emphasis on education for children. And so because children weren't allowed to work anymore, families became smaller as there wasn't a need for children as much anymore because they relied on the children to work to make income. So the nuclear family was the norm. So contemporary Canadian families, 1900s. So there were more children because of the baby boom, because of the World War. There was an increased independence of women, and the nuclear family was still the norm, but there were alternatives emerging. So unlike in the past, both parents are working, and blended family and same-sex families became more common. So there are 6 functions of the family. So there's maintaining morale, the socialization of children, reproduction, production, consumption, distribution of goods and services, physical care of the aged and sick, controlling behavior to maintain order. So the basic function of the family is to preserve society biologically and socially. Functionalists say that to survive, a society must meet certain needs or functions. A person's role in the family changes over time depending on the social, political, technological, and economic factors. So here I am predicting the functions of the family in 2100. So for the socialization of children. So children learn and adopt certain behaviors. Children develop by interacting with others, so the family has the biggest impact on them, and especially their parents. So in 2100, children will still be socialized by their parents, but more so by technology. So as we can see now, more children have like their own phones and iPads, computers, or whatever. So I think that will also socialize them, as well as social media. So I think that the technology will more so socialize children than their parents, like today. Reproduction. So I think that reproduction will still be the same, but technology in 2100 will make it more possible for same-sex couples to reproduce their own children. I still think that sexual intercourse will still trump any technology that the year 2100 has to offer. So maintaining morale. Having good morals will still be essential in 2100. Parents will still teach their children good morals and set an example. There's no one more than the child's parents want them to succeed, so no one besides the child's parents can maintain morale in them. So controlling behavior to maintain order. I think that this will still be essential in 2100, and in 2100 I predict that robots may take over many functions of the family and may control behavior instead of the parents, but I still think that the parents will have the primary responsibility to control behavior and maintain order. So physical care of the aged and sick. So physical care of the aged and sick will be done more by health professionals, for example nurses, than family members. This is because there is a stress on the caregiver when they care for their family member. when they care for their family member. So society right now is way more fast-paced due to technology than it was 100 years ago. So society in 2100 will be even more fast-paced than it is now. So family members may not have time to care for the aged and sick, as both parents are working and they have a family to look after, and they may not have time to look after the aged and sick. So production, consumption, distribution of goods and services. So because of technology, robots may take over many jobs, for example, cooking and cleaning in the household, or just regular labor jobs. So although production, consumption, and distribution of goods and services are, I think they're still going to be performed by active members of society, because that's where you need to keep it going. But I think that robots would take over a lot of the jobs, especially the labor jobs, as we have seen in the past. Many jobs have been taken over by technology. So the structure of the family in Canada is always changing, as we can see throughout history. But why are the family structures changing? So there's a rise in same-sex marriages due to the legalization, adoption, common law couples, etc. So the family structures change because society is constantly changing due to the social, economic, and technological and political factors. So the family today, we would not have seen these type of couples or families 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 1,000 years ago. So now there's same-sex couples, there's common law couples, there's interracial, there's adoption. We wouldn't have seen this type of stuff many years ago, but now it's quite common. Okay, so here are some factors affecting the future family. So the social, political, economic, and technological. So social, I think it's like really depends on society's perspective. So for example, like 100 years ago, 50 years ago, like even like 5 years ago, people weren't as accepting of like lesbian, gay, transgender people as they are now. So society's perspective has really changed. So like 100 years ago, you wouldn't have seen a same-sex couple, and I think that really society's perspective and acceptance really depends on the future family. So there's many technological factors. So how the family interacts, the technology I think has really hindered that. People don't really interact as much as family members don't really interact as much as they do before, because everything's really technology based. And of course there's political factors, how politics changed, the laws and stuff surrounding same-sex marriages, that really affects the future family. And because of society's acceptance in same-sex couples, the same-sex couples have increased. And then economic, how much money, that really affects the family, how they interact with each other, what they do. If they have to work a lot to get money, then they won't see their family as much, and that really affects the family structure. So here are some statistics. So lone parent families have increased 8% from 2006 to 2011. The 2011 census counted 64,575 same-sex couple families, which is 42.4% up from 2006. And 4 in 10 married couples end in divorce. So 100 years ago, 50 years ago, we wouldn't have seen any couples divorcing. It just wasn't the norm. But society, again, social factors, society has become more accepting of it. So that's why, and also because of the 42.4% increase of same-sex couples, that that just shows how the family structure is going to be in the future. So what will the family look like in 2100? So I think there will still be the continuation of caring in the family. I think that there will be even more same-sex couples than there are now. As we can see, there is a positive an increase in that. I think there will also be more parents with adopted kids, as that has been more accepted. I feel like everything's really technological based now, so I feel like dating websites will take over traditional dating. And I also, like I said before, robots and technology will take over, so that will affect the functions of the family and how the family interacts and what they do. For example, cooking and cleaning technology, the robots may be doing the cooking and cleaning instead of the man or the woman or the kids. I also think that more common law couples will be around, and there won't be as many marriages, and therefore there won't be as much divorce. And also because of the feminist movements and the emphasis on gender issues today, there will be no gender roles in 2100. So as we can see in the past, men have been the breadwinners. They're the ones people have expected to make the money and stuff, and the women have always been domesticated. The women have always been domesticated, and now we can really see that there's a push for both genders working, and the gender roles how they exist today, but they still do a bit. So I think that in 2100, gender roles will be virtually gone.